are working as intended. So it's cool.
So that's auto flip, and the next thing we want to talk about is a very competitive topic, which is should quarters be affected versus the run? So you know that this is a long-standing legacy issue that people could come out in quarters and effectively stop the run. So I'll let RG and Will talk to you about some of the changes in that space.
Yeah, I'll punt it over to you, Will, if you want to.
So quarters defense, I'm sure anyone who watched the Madden Challenge, either one that happened recently, you saw players coming out in quarters normal and being able to effectively stop the run. So what we decided to do this year is make it more realistic in terms of how these kinds of defenses stop the run. And it's not just limited to quarter. We're talking dollar, big dime, those kinds of formations. To go back to the run fits that we were going over earlier, this all kind of ties in. When you're in the quarters defense, you're not going to have enough players in the box to have every gap accounted for in your defense.
There is.
So
you can see there.
The run fits are terrible. There's no force. It's quarters. They can't fill every gap.
Right. And so you're going to see right here, now my lead blocker decided to go through the other gap. But in general, you're going to notice it's going to be much easier to realistically counter defensive formations like quarters with run-heavy schemes. Now, if you come out in a 5-wide and run QB draw against quarters and expect to get a 100-yard touchdown, that's not going to happen. But
That's a good example right there.
If you use balanced or run-heavy formations versus these kinds of defenses, you're going to notice a lot more success than you probably have in previous years.
A huge, other people might be saying, if you watch D. Jones last year in the Madden Challenge, he would do this thing too where he'd run quarters and he'd pull his D lineman off the line and go to the strong side and shotgun. There's a change this year where if it's a down D lineman and he's supposed to be pass rushing, you can't pull him off the line because that's just not something you see in real life. So if you see, I'm going to call quarters in this situation. I'm going to get on this defensive end right here. I'm trying to pull him off the line right now. I can't go pull him off the line until the ball is snapped. So that makes it harder for me to make these crazy, exotic, weird defenses that people use to stop quarters and shoot gaps and whatnot. You really have to play an organic type of defense. And as you saw in the last one,
hot route him to a hook, right?
Yeah, you can hot route him to whatever you want.
Move him off the
Once the ball's snapped, you could run him back if you need to. But all that pre-play pulling the guy off the line, running him back and forth, something that you never see on Sunday.
Why don't you show him the overhang thing too? The overhang blitz where you sit on top of the D lineman with the linebacker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's kind of part of the nano detection system as well. It's got a few different components. Hopefully you guys can get it to trigger. So this is a very common tactic when setting up a blitz. You saw the linebacker jump there. That's another way that we're getting around one of the ways that people break the targeting system. So we got about 10 minutes left before we move on to our next section, and what I wanted to go over last was the ball carrier moves.